Hey guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial here, and we're back with another video. Now in this one, we're going to be looking at the FT4 Pros against the previous top spec generation from the JetSpeed range, which was the FT2s. Now like I said in the previous video, we're back, we're making videos again, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this one as much as the last. But before we get into it, make sure that you give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the content that we post. I saw you guys giving the last video a lot of thumbs up and it really does help us out, so let's see if we can do the same with this one. Let's jump into it. So as always guys, starting off at the base of these skates and then working our way upwards. But actually before we even touch on that, let's just look at the design really quickly. With the FT2s over here, I was always a really big fan of these, and as I've said in previous videos, the FT2 skates were the ones that I've been in basically since the JetSpeed range of skates launched from CCM. Now when we look at the new design on the FT4 Pro, I'm going to let you guys decide if you think it's better than the previous design on the FT2. So comment down below and let me know which one of these two designs you prefer the most. I honestly can't make up my mind if I like the FT4 Pro's new design or if I preferred the massive silver accents and less red on the FT2s. So let me know in the comment section which one you think is the better looking skate. Now before we get any further into the video, future me with a change of wardrobe wants to touch on the biggest change with the brand new FT4 Pro skates from CCM, and that's going to be in the fit profile. We've seen previously the way that you looked at skates from CCM, the JetSpeed range was the most narrow fitting skate profile they had, the ribcore was referred to as the flexible fit profile, and then the SuperTax was the wide fit profile. So if you were a super wide foot, you would be looking primarily at the SuperTax. If you had a super narrow foot, you'd be looking at primarily perhaps the JetSpeed or maybe the ribcore. Now this is no longer the case. This brand new fit profile means that each of their three fit families or their three skate families all have three different fits within them. So when we look at JetSpeed, there's no more D, E, or double E. It's a tapered fit, a regular fit, and a wide fit. The exact same thing as if we look at ribcore and also SuperTax. So this means that players can now select the skate based on their performance. So which skate has the performance benefits or the features that fits your style of play. Now this is actually quite a complex subject, and I filmed an entire video where I go into a bunch of detail about it that I'll link down below in the video description and also up above. But it's actually quite complex in my opinion, but I've tried to break it down as best as I can to make it clear so everyone kind of can jump on board with this brand new fit profile that is coming from CCM. But bear that in mind when we go through this video. That's the biggest change, because previously when we looked at the old fit system from CCM skates, roughly 75% of players were covered straight out of the box of the skates that you could get from a retail store. Now with this brand new fit system with the tapered, the regular, and the wide, it's 95% coverage. So although it's quite a big change, it means more players are able to get a much more comfortable fitting skate right out of the box from a retail store. There'll be a link down below in the video description where you can watch a video where I go into much more detail about everything you need to know about the new fit profile from CCM for their new skates. But aside from that, let's jump back in the video and take a look at the differences between the FT4 Pro and the FT2s. I'll hand you back over to myself from the past. Expect a wardrobe change. Let's go. So starting off at the base of the skate as always, looking at the runners or the blades. In this case, when we look at the previous generation top spec, the FT2s, this featured CCM's XS1 black runners. Now when we look at the brand new FT4s, these feature questionably or arguably the best quality runners on the market in hockey today, which is Steps Black Steel. Now, aside from these looking much better than what we see on the FT2 with that almost chrome-like finish, there's a lot of performance benefits that we'll get into in just a moment. But when we look at the previous generation with the XS1 Black, now, although these are black steel, there is a big difference between these two runners. I've said in previous videos, normally when I got my CCM skates, I would tend to switch out the runners because I preferred runners just like what's on the FT4 Pros over here, the Step, because in general, the quality with what you get with Step and the performance is going to be much better. But we saw not too long ago that CCM actually acquired Step. So all of their top spec skates are now going to be featuring Step's black runners, which is a massive upgrade. So what do you actually get when you move from CCM's old XS1 black blades to Steps black runners with that chrome-like mirror finish? The first thing is a much better looking runner. In addition to this, it's going to be a slight height increase because this blade is taller than what we see on the previous generation featured on the FT2 skates. In addition to this, the quality of steel is much, much higher, significantly higher than what we see on the FT2s, which means that it's going to be much more durable, it's going to retain its edge life much longer. But aside from this, because of the increase in height of the step steel, what you get with that is also a tighter turning radius. So you're going to be much more maneuverable on the ice, much more agile. Of course, this is your performance bearing and your own ability bearing, but essentially this blade will allow you to perform much better than the previous one that we've seen on the original FT2 skates. As a side note, because the quality of steel on the step black runners is also much higher than the previous generation, you'll also need to get your skates sharpened a lot less frequently, just because it's going to be able to give you a much longer edge life and retain its edge, even under general circumstances on the ice where you're getting hit, where you're maybe stepping on things that you shouldn't be stepping. Better quality runner, less sharpened, better performance on the ice. From the runners moving up into the holders, you can see this is CCM's XS holder. There's no changes here. Exactly the same holder on these new FT4 Pros. That's the holder that allows you to switch out the steel without using any tools. You just scroll the dial to pop the blade out, pop a new one in and scroll the dial back up. So you can change the runners in a few seconds if you lose an edge and you need to replace the runner, or you break a steel, or if you just have some extras with you inside a bag. So that's always a good feature to see carried across. Now, when we move up into the actual quarter package of both of these skates over here, we're of course still seeing CCM's one-piece boot construction with the FT4 Pros, which is exactly what we saw previously on the FT2s. Now this, in my opinion, is a much more superior skate construction than the previous construction method, which was a two-piece construction. The outsole has been removed, the sides of the skate, the back, the quarter package is all one single piece, which has numerous benefits for your performance on the ice and also your fit. The first one is going to be that this one-piece shell is much stiffer than a standard or traditional two-piece construction. In addition to this, it's going to be able to mold and contour to the shape of your foot much better than a two-piece construction. And of course, on top of this, it's going to reduce the negative space inside the skate. There's a lot of benefits that you get with a skate when you move from a two-piece construction to a one-piece. If you want more information on the benefits of a one-piece skate construction, I'll link a video down below in the video description where we go into a lot more detail about this. But when we look at this, of course, I've said that it's still the same one-piece construction that we saw on the FT2s. The only real changes is, of course, that new big bold design that we touched on earlier on in the video. Make sure you've commented down below to let me know which one you prefer out of these two skates here. In addition to this, because this is the next generation of CCM's skates within the JetSpeed family, you can expect the general refinement of the composite materials used to create the one-piece shell in the FT4 Pros to be a little bit more improved than what we saw previously. Now, you might see this in terms of the general durability of the skate and how well it's able to withstand the game of hockey. Now, when we move on to the eyelets, one big upgrade you can see on the FT4 Pros is that all of the eyelets are now brass. And when we look at the FT2s, we would only typically see either the top two, or so, in some cases with different skates, maybe just the top eyelet being brass and all of the others being aluminium until you get to the first eyelet, which would also be brass. So this, it's just the top two eyelets over here and the single one at the bottom that is brass, and all of the others are aluminium. Now, because this is a top spec skate, moving from aluminium to brass just means that the eyelets are going to be much more securely fastened. So if you're a player that puts a lot of miles on their skates, if you're on the ice frequently, these eyelets are going to hold up much better than what you see with aluminium eyelets. Now, when we move from there to the toe caps of these skates, this is an upgrade that I've been waiting for a very long time with the JetSpeed range of skates, or any of CCM's skates in general, which is an asymmetrical toe cap. It doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but what essentially that means is the toe cap is slimmer, it's more low profile, and it eliminates any negative space inside the skate or unwanted space inside the skate, providing you with a better fit. And also, because it's less material, you could say that that's going to maybe make the skate a bit lighter, but the most important thing here is the fit. Your toes aren't bouncing around in empty, unwanted space inside the toe box of the skates. It's secure, it's snug, which means that any movements or motions you make with your feet will be translated onto the blade, meaning the skate will be more responsive than what you see in the previous generation with the FT2s. So low profile, asymmetrical toe cap is a big upgrade and something that I've wanted for a very long time. Now, from there, moving up into the neck of the skate, where we see CCM's injected comfort pads. Now, essentially, this is that nice bit of soft, spongy material that sits on the top of the skate or the neck of the skate to just give you a little bit of additional comfort in your foot. So when you're turning, you don't have the neck of the skate cutting or digging into the side of your foot. There's really no changes over here, still injected, still basically the same size, same construction, and it also feels pretty much the same softness as well. So no big changes over here, but I just thought I'd mention it because it's always a nice feature to have. Now taking a look at both of the tongues of these skates. Now when you look at the FT2s over here on my left versus the FT4 Pros, you can straight away see that there's a big difference in the shape and the height or the general size of these tongues. Now with the FT4 Pros, this is CCM's brand new XS tongues, which can be switched out for 3 different thickness tongues. You can go for a 4mm tongue, which is much thinner than what you would traditionally get with these skates, significantly thinner. And you also have from there a 7mm option, which is normally the standard. And from there you have the 10mm option, which is very, very thick and padded. So if you're the type of player that's perhaps in the front of the net, blocking shots, or you're the type of player that maybe requires an alteration in the volume inside the skate, because of course a thicker tongue means that you're reducing the volume inside the skate. A thinner tongue means you're increasing the volume inside the skate. So not only can you switch out your tongues to best adapt to what type of fit you like if you're trying to increase or decrease the volume inside the skate, you can also use them to increase the level of comfort or protection and padding that you have by going from 7mm to 10mm. And some of these tongues also feature D3O material, which we've done numerous videos of, which have millions of views showing you how incredibly shock absorbent the D3O material is. If you want to see those videos again, I'll have them linked down below in the video description, but it's not one of those types of technologies that is a gimmick. D3O is insane, and it's always nice to see it featured inside a skate. What I'd love to see is it featured inside the actual construction of the boot itself. I'm not sure if that's something that's even possible, but you know, just spitballing, I'd love to see CCM do something with D3O inside the entire construction of the hockey skate. But in other words, when we look at the tongues on the FT2s, it was just a fixed tongue. What you had was pretty much a standard 7mm tongue that couldn't be changed. But when you look at the FT4 Pros with the XS tongues, you can switch it out depending on what you prefer to have or what would be best for your style and level of play. But of course, both of these tongues do feature the metatarsal protection in the front of the tongue to protect against lace bite. But I will say that the tongues featured on previous generation CCM skates that didn't have the XS technology to switch them out, it doesn't look like a big improvement, but being able to switch out from 3 different tongues because of the brand new XS tongue system is a big deal, because it means that you can beef up your tongue or reduce the thickness of it if that's something that you'd like to do. Taking a very quick look at the tendons on both of these skates with the FT2s on my left over here and the FT4 Pros here. There isn't really any massive differences aside from the fact that these tendons have slight design changes because it's obviously new versus old, but they're both stiff tendons because this particular skate doesn't require the use of a flexible tendon. That is what we'll see in the 100K Pros, which will be a separate video. But over here, no major changes besides a few design changes on the back of both of these skates' tendons. Now taking a look at both of the liners of these skates, both the FT2 and also the FT4 Pros feature CCM's Total Dry Pro Plus liners. Now essentially that is the high performance moisture wicking material that keeps your feet dry, or will do its best to keep your feet dry by wicking away the moisture and filtering it out through the perforations or the holes in the base of the skate. That helps with general comfort and of course keeping the skate light because you don't have a big buildup of water retention inside the boot. But aside from that, both of these skate liners are pretty similar. If anything, I'd say that of course there's a design change inside with the way that they look, and maybe the FT4 Pro liner feels a little bit softer to the touch than the FT2s. Just for reference, both of these skates are brand new and unused, so it's not like one's been used and battered up so the liner feels a bit different. Both brand new, but the FT4 Pros did feel a little bit softer. In terms of the foams inside these skates, they're both using memory foams that will help to wrap around your foot, optimizing your general fit and comfort inside these boots. The foams are also anatomically correct. So again, we're seeing a lot of similarities with the internals of these skates. No massive upgrades aside from the look and maybe slightly on the feel when we look at the FT4 Pro liners versus the JetSpeed FT2s. And of course, we're still seeing the continuation of the wear patches where CCM has added a little bit of high wearing material, which feels like a synthetic leather, both in these skates, FT2s and FT4 Pros, to the high wear areas of the skates, just to help to extend the life of these liners. And when we look at both of the footbeds inside these skates, essentially they're pretty traditional, simple foam footbeds. With the FT4 Pro, you have the Ortho Ultralight footbeds, but like I said, both pretty traditional pieces of foam that go in the base of the skate. Now that's very different to what you get when you look at CCM's Ortho Move footbeds, which are much more substantial, which have some reinforced composite materials in the base of the footbed to help increase contact with your foot. And it also has inserts that you can change the height of the arch. So if you have a high arch, a low arch, a medium arch, you're able to adjust this with the little inserts that come inside the Ortho Move footbeds. But the ones that we have in these particular skates over here are just the traditional pieces of foam. And just as a quick shout, a lot of CCM's new products, or pretty much all of their new products, you'll find a little maple leaf logo with 2 hockey sticks and a cross. This is their little sign that they started to add to all of their new range of products that also features the coordinates to CCM's HQ in Montreal. Now I found the flag, which is nicely positioned in the back of the skates, just above the heel on the liners of the boot. And after looking over the skate, I've been able to find the coordinates to CCM's HQ just on the bottom of where traditionally the outsole would be, next to the little hole that lets any excess heat and moisture exit the skate. It's not something that's super relevant, but I always like to try and find these on all of CCM's newest products. It's just something that I get a little kick out of, but I thought I'd drop that in the video too. As always, guys, a big thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. Make sure you thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And the next video that we're going to be taking a look at is the entire JetSpeed range and what key features CCM has added to this brand new range. Now, in addition to this, of course, the video on the 100K skates is going to be coming out very, very soon, or in other words, the 100K Pros. So please look out for that one as well. Thank you for watching and take care until next time. Peace.